Your page good?
Yeah, it's on there now. It's on this page. Hallelujah. YouTube, Instagram. About 1,000 some people be doing.
Okay.
That's all, huh?
Hey, this is Angela Mosspool. We are at Hallelujah
95.3.
About to go live in 1 minute. We're here with Christine Henry. We got Bob Keenan. I don't know if you see Bob there. We got Kelly.
Yes.
Can you see everybody?
This
Okay.
page.
Pastor Clarence Jackson's over there.
Hey.
Everybody. We're going to be talking about financial literacy.
Yes, we
and
will.
Fair housing.
Yes, we
and
will.
Tallahassee community. So tune in to Hallelujah 95.3 FM. In
Right
1
now.
minute. Bye.
Right now. Right now, y'all. Right now. Okay, now look. Hey, y'all on the radio. Listen, we're trying to get our Wi-Fi working correctly. So once we get to that, we're going to...
Oh, I need to let me turn on say something.
We got a little reverb happening here. It's all good. It's all good. We are so glad to have y'all tuned in. Listen, at this moment, post and share. It's going to be, I know this is going to be a powerful conversation because the folks we got in the room. Listen, you don't, some folks, you just got to be intentional about making sure they come out. So you know if Mr. Bob Keenan is here, we're going to have a whole dissertation on stuff today. Y'all don't know Mr. Bob. Y'all don't know Mr. Bob. Mr. Bob. He is like the financial steward of the whole community, y'all. And everybody that got money know him. All right. So we are so glad. We're so glad to have you, Mr. Bob, and of course Kelly with Vision Credit Union, my friend, my partner, my partner in crime on the community front, doing excellent work as a CDFI, investing in the community. Of course, Miss Angela Mosspool, Dr. Angela Mosspool. A wave to the pretty lady, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this lady here, she may have the voice of an angel, but she also got the discipline of an accountant. All right, so you're gonna see a lot of that come out today. And Pastor Clarence Jackson, listen, he gonna keep me in line. All right, that's it. You're gonna be all right. You can just, I'm just so excited and looking forward to all of the work and all of the stuff that's gonna come out today. So we're looking forward to getting crunk up here and put my headphones on. Post and share. Put your questions in the chat. Hey, how y'all doing? I see you coming on. Hey, y'all. Okay, come on through. I see the eyeball going up. Y'all come on through, and we're looking forward to a powerful broadcast today. Thank you all for tuning in, and don't forget to invite a friend.
Okay, yeah, you'll be able to hear the music and stuff like
I can't hear nothing over here.
I don't know if we get them on. It's on that.
All right. She sang this on this shit. Oh, I'm still. Thank you, Hills. Okay. Happy Wednesday, y'all. If you are hearing my voice, then you know it's the second Wednesday of the month, and I am not Pastor Greg James, but he is in the building, making sure we are all good and all right, and we are heading into another awesome conscious check with Christine Henry broadcast today. And listen, y'all want to stay tuned. You want to tag a friend because this month, as you know, is April. And April have a couple of observances nationally that are really, really important, I believe, to everybody. The first is this National Financial Literacy Month. What does that mean? We're going to get into it in a minute. But the other one is that it's National Fair Housing Month. And that is something that I'm really acquainted with because it was always, I think National Financial Literacy Month is kind of recent and kind of new.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to delving into that even more because we can't get into fair housing, nothing until we get our finances straight, right? So I think it lines right on up. And helping me today and keeping me straight is the Pastor Clarence Jackson of Destiny Church, TLH, in the building today, y'all.
Hey, lady.
How you
You doing
doing?
good?
Should I say on today? Because I know people say on today.
If you want to be able to church, on today.
Okay, on today. On today.
Only if you're church.
On in your church. Listen, and so, you know. So listen, we're going to keep this, Joe. This is a pretty sobering topic.
Yep.
Okay. Personal finance, financial, economic security, and wealth building. And when we talk about it on a community level, you know something about what it looks like for community to work in concert to create and to build wealth.
Right. No doubt about it. And we'll talk about that. But I think what we should say first is that those who are listening are about to, get some valuable information from just titans in the financial leadership arena.
Yes, sir.
So I'm excited to be here. There's some things I'm going to learn, even though, I'm in the financial sector myself. So I'm really excited to listen in and I'm excited to co-host with you today.
Well, listen, the thing is that, of course, with every broadcast that we do with Conscious Check, because we focus on economic and community development, right? Those are usually and traditionally pretty high level conversations, right? People kind of talk over and you like, okay, what you said, right?
No doubt about it.
And so we try to take and pull from those things and break it down to the people level because that's who it impacts.
Right. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. And I know I went through, several phases. I know I started when I was 5, but I went through the 9/11 boom and bust on the market space.
Yes.
I went through 2007, 2008 Great Recession.
Right.
We've had a number of micro recessions that have happened even since then that led up to the COVID pandemic, which again, on the converse side, created supply chain issues that caused another dynamic that is different in converse to what happened with the 2000s and 2000. So all of this to say is that we're having these economic events that are kind of high level, but they affect me.
And let me just say this too. So what we're doing today is really, really important, especially for the Black community. Most Black folk don't talk about financial literacy until it's really late in the game. We look at financial literacy, as a reactive thing, as it relates to being in debt or trying to get a new home. But I knew nothing about financial literacy, and I had very good parents. It just wasn't something that we talked about. And so if I knew back then what I know now about things like life insurance, about the importance of a good credit score, all of those things, I can't even imagine where I'd be. So I take pride in teaching people.
Yes.
For me, it's not just about making money. For me, I really enjoy teaching people, especially people in the Black community, because we are so far behind in that area.
You better say that. And it seemed like it used to be easier.
Yeah.
Right? It seemed like things were a lot simpler, right? Because there was so much less government intervention. There was so much less, of the complex that are impacted. And some of that is reactive and some of that is proactive, or depending on who you're talking to, protagonist. But or antagonist, depending on who you're talking to. But I think that it's really important for us to understand that the conversation has changed from being simply educated and aware financially to really being prepared.
Yes.
And you'll get into this, I'm sure, with the looking at, the long-term viability of the Social Security, fund, looking at all these different mechanisms that in the past, as a nation, we depended on to catch us financially, right? Those things are either eroding or diminishing in a sense.
Right.
And we have to be more astute, and we have to understand, more importantly, that taking care of us is going to be our responsibility.
Right, no doubt about it. And what I tell people is this: when you talk about financial literacy, you can really dive down a rabbit hole and,
Yes.
and lose people who are not really up to date on verbiage, right? That type of thing. But what I tell people is, when I try to teach people financial literacy, I'm not trying to hit a home run.
Yes.
I'm trying to hit a single. I'm not trying to throw a Hail Mary. If I can complete a 5-yard pass so we can get started, that's good. It's better to get started on this journey than to not do anything at all.
That's right. That's right. If you're listening, you are tuned in to Conscious Check with Christy Henry as a part of the Greg James Community Show. We have here as our co-pilot, Pastor Clarence Jackson of Destiny
In the
Church
building.
DLA in the show enough building.
On today.
Okay, and on today, all right, we're gonna take it all the way down, and we're gonna take a quick, short station break, and we're gonna bring in our awesome guests because we want the whole hour of them being
That's
able
right.
to talk.
That's right.
All right, stay tuned and tag and share. All right, y'all. So if you are listening, hey y'all, okay, y'all coming on in. How you doing? So we're getting ready to bring our guests in, getting ready to bring and amplify the conversation. Please post your questions in the chat. Please don't post your business in the chat. All right. If you have a situation, an individual situation, please inbox us and we can connect you to one of the experts in the room. But we definitely want to get your question. We'll hit on a couple of scenarios that we hope will give you some more information on how to look and view at different scenarios. But definitely, if you have any questions, we're going to be looking during the station break to see what kind of questions we're being asked. Thank y'all so much for listening. Go ahead and tag and share and invite a friend to the conversation. We need your input and appreciate it. Thank y'all for being here. Look, my questions. Y'all make y'all own copies. That's all right. That's all right. You can come here with a whole bunch of copies so people can have their copies. Yeah,
Do you know Carmen Dawkins?
I sure do.
Yeah. When I was in Chattanooga, I used to be Carmen's pastor. And I'm a classmate as well.
I'll have to tell her we met.
Tell her, please do that.
I love her.
She's good.
She's good.
are we ready? All right. All right. We are back with Conscious Check with Christy Henry on the Greg James Community Show platform. Here with our co-pilot, co-pastor, and sergeant at arms, Pastor Clarence Jackson of Destiny Church. And we are just so excited to have our guests here today. Listen, it is something when you can have this conversation with folk that can break it down. Because, you can invite people that they know everything. Right. And they stay on that level. But these folks know how to break it down to the people level. So we look forward to hearing from our guests today. First of all, I want to introduce Ms. Kelly Walter. She is the Vice President for Community Development at Envision Credit Union. I have worked with her on several occasions. She is for real. Envision has been at the table with so many community-led initiatives and events. They fund, they sponsor, they are in the house, and we really appreciate y'all's community-driven approach to engagement with your credit union. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and I'm loving the energy in the room. Why is this limited to only an hour? Because I can stay here all day with you guys. I'm excited to hear from the wealth of knowledge in the room. I'm very honored to be among you guys.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely bring a great aspect to the conversation, working for a bank that has a focus on community investment. So we look forward to that.
Absolutely.
Also here, y'all, not just the accountant, not just the financial coach, not just the educational strategist, but But this lady is a Billboard top performing artist, y'all. So you talk about pulling the talents out the room.
That's
This
right.
one right here, she has it, Dr. Angela Moss, who,
Thank you for having me.
yes, it is amazing. I met Angela in real estate initially,
Yeah.
right? So she has it all across the spectrum. But she began as a financial educator. You were hosting those classes
Yeah.
with your group.
From borrower to lender.
Yes, you were. That's what it was. Say it again. Say the time together.
From
Powerful.
borrower to lender.
Yes.
Way back.
You authored that.
I did. I'm
You did.
excited to continue to still be talking about those same principles because it's the same thing. It's timeless. Right?
That's right.
Financial management, financial coaching, it really never changes. There's some terminology that can be updated, but when you talk about literacy, it's just learning a new vocabulary.
That's right.
You know,
Right.
people say, well, I'm not computer literate. And like Pastor Jackson was saying, you don't have to know how to build the whole computer to
Right.
be computer literate, but
Exactly.
just know how to turn it on and open your files, how to use what you need, right?
That's
And then
right.
how to know when to call somebody to fix something.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Know that, okay, maybe I may have a virus. Doesn't mean you need to know how to do the coding, but how to recognize when something needs to be fixed.
Right.
And so we need to at least get our financial literacy to that point and know the basic things of budgeting, saving, investing, like you said, life insurance, and know enough to know when it's time to ask an expert.
That's
And
right.
even as a CPA, I still go to Papa Bob Keenan. I
Yeah.
like
Okay,
20 years ago, I was sitting in his office like, okay, I may have a business, I may have this, but we got to plan out some things. It's, you know, enough literacy to know
Right.
when to ask someone else, you
Yes.
know? And so that's really all we need to achieve with financial literacy.
Yes.
Make it a language.
Very well said.
That's
said.
very well said, very well stated. And since you said Papa Bob, and you know, I ain't gonna call you Papa. You are Mr. Bob Keenan.
Yes.
And y'all, Mr. Bob Keenan is an icon in community financial advising. I mean, I had to do like special license to even get him here, right? Because he don't come out for everybody. All right. And I'm so glad he is the principal advisor. He's a certified financial planner, Next Financial and Cornucopia Wealth Management down in Frenchtown.
How about that?
Okay, hop, skipping a jump. Been there for a long time, and you
Over
have
40
advised
years.
over what?
Over 40 years.
Wow.
40 years.
Yeah.
So you say
42 to be exact. Yes. A lot of changes I've seen in Frenchtown and in Tallahassee. Yes. Over
yes,
the
you
years.
have,
Mhm.
and you've seen a lot of changes in the financial market.
Absolutely, no question about that.
Help us today, Mr. Bob. Just don't hold back. Help the people. All right, help us understand what's going on.
Mhm. Well, basically, I mean, what I do in terms of financial planning is I help people identify those financial resources that are going out the back door unknowingly and unnecessarily, and show them how to put those monies to work for them. I have probably about 250 clients, most of them in zip code 32304, and we start from zero and then we go from there. So the clientele that I service, they may have $1 or they may have $1 million. Don't have that many million now, but have a lot of $1, and we work with them from the very beginning. I mean, to put that blocks together. And the goal is to help them to become financially independent and to also leave a legacy for their family. So
Yeah.
that's our goal.
Have mercy. Have mercy.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Bible talks about that. Can I preach?
I want you to. So we need to open up with a sermon. Because This gonna be a
No, I'm saying
conversation.
what Mr. Bob was talking about is absolutely true. You know, typically, we go through this life and we don't leave anything behind. And God said we should be a blessing, not just to our children, but to our children's children.
Right.
Amen.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Amen.
so that's what we get this whole thing about generational wealth,
Exactly.
generational wealth building.
That's right.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. All right. Let's first start with what is financial literacy? What's the end game of somebody coming and saying you need to get some help in terms of building your financial wealth awareness, building your financial vocabulary, and impacting your outcome? What is that? What has that been in your spaces as you worked in this arena?
If I may, I would
Mhm.
love, I did a little bit of research on what the dictionary says financial literacy is, or the Google gods, whatever they might be. And, the boring answer is reports that summarize key areas that impact on people's personal finances. To me, that's a boring textbook answer. What it means to me in layman terms is you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
You better say that. That was
That's good.
powerful right there.
That's
And
good.
so it's more about having a conscience and the wherewithal to honestly step into your truth. What has brought me to where I'm at? And how do I take what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and what the people around me that I trust, right? All the advising that I get, how do I put that to action for a better future?
That's good.
Ooh, that's good now. Shit, look, did you hear her, Pastor Clay? She said, you got to step into your truth.
Yeah, you got to step to. You got to own it.
Some people
Yeah.
delusional and deceived.
Not delusional. They're just ashamed. So because they're ashamed, they don't go talk to experts.
Or they're not even honest with the face in the mirror.
Right.
Just, really just not, and I think we do that as humans in many aspects of our lives.
Mhm.
But again, I think someone said earlier, you kind of don't realize that how long you've done it until you wake up one day and you realize the situation and you're in and you're like, man, if I woulda,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And I do think it's generational. I think, I love working with people as a low income designated credit union. I work with people who come in with this mindset that I'm never going to go to college because my family didn't go to college. We didn't have the money to do that. And I'm like, stop right there. Like you have to think about what do you want? How bad do you want it? And let's find a way to get you there. Because there's no reason why you are the exclusion to having that. To having that knowledge, to having that higher paycheck, that you do deserve it.
Yep.
I think so. I think that to me, financial literacy is more than just. I don't like using the word literacy. Sometimes, actually, in the credit union world, we call it financial capability.
Yes, that's good.
Because to me, it's not just about what you know, but you are capable, right where you're at. And I love how you use the analogy of football. Because when I think of football, what happens? We're on the first down. And I didn't get a first down. You get a second down.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's
Right? So you go back and you try again.
Yes.
Right? And if you don't get it on fourth down, you kick off, and guess what? When it returns back to you, you get another chance.
That's right.
You don't give up. You keep working towards the goal. I always tell my husband, it's not touchdowns that win football games. It's first downs that wins football games.
Come on, girl. Y'all,
It's not the Hail Mary.
Right.
Post
We'll be passing the plate in a minute, y'all, because she done preached the whole sermon.
And my husband just rolls his eyes, but I'm like, it is true. And that's true of everything in life. Like, I love that you guys are talking about let's just get a win. We don't have to we're not asking for the, keys to the mansion right now. Let's get a win. Let's set ourselves up. Let's learn from it. We might take a couple steps back. We learn from it. We move on.
Yep.
Right?
I was gonna say, since we're officially in church on today,
It's on today.
you made me think about something when you said standing our truth and being honest with ourselves. And
Yes.
even in the garden from the very beginning, when Adam and Eve sinned, God asked the question, where are you? And Adam had to identify himself, but he didn't own it. He made an excuse. He said, well, I'm naked, I'm ashamed, I hid myself. And when God asked him, well, who told you were ashamed? Well, that woman he sent me gave me this fruit. And then he asked Eve, she said, well, that snake, right? So we're continuing to pass the blame.
Have mercy.
So I don't go to college because my mama didn't go to college, or I didn't go because I didn't have a scholarship, or I didn't, save money because I just had to, do all these other excuses. But we need to answer the question, where are you? First, own that, and don't make any excuses, and then start to make the right decisions.
Can I jump in here? Because I want to know. I want to know from Mr. Bob, when you because I like the way you say you talk to people who have $1. You
Right.
talk to people who have $1 million. When you think financial literacy and people come to you, let's imagine that there are listeners out there today who say, look, I want to get started. How would you get them started? What's something that they absolutely need to know if they're going to start their financial literacy journey or their financial capability journey?
Well, I would say first they need to know what their goals are.
Right.
What is it that you intend to do with money? And then from there, we can build around it. Most people in general, number one is retirement.
Right.
They don't want to be broke. They want to have enough money when they retire to last for the rest of their life. So that's usually number one.
Yep.
The second is education for the children.
Yes.
And here's an area that we tend to go at in a way that really it affects the family negative for long term. And what I mean by that is we end up borrowing a lot of money, and then the family end up getting debt. And at the same time, that takes away from the retirement. So I help people to develop strategies to get their kids educated. Another area, believe it or not, is how you finance your house.
That's right.
There are ways you can go about financing your house that can enhance your wealth, and then there are ways that you can go about financing that you end up losing the house.
Oh, wow.
We have a lot of real estate here in Leon County and in 304. That's not, I mean, that's not being, being utilized. There's a lot of people don't know how. And what we do is we work with them and we call Christy and say, hey, we got a client with these needs, and we try to hook it up to get them to invest in housing, because we know the home is the foundation in terms of finance.
You better say it. What you said, Mr.
Yeah.
Bob?
So what we do is we reach out and we call people like Angela, in terms of helping people with their taxes.
Yes.
And we reach out to attorneys. We have in the Black community, we lose a lot of land.
Yes.
And a lot of that land has to do with air.
That's right. Air
So we work with clients to hook them up with attorneys,
Mhm.
to get together to come up with plans in order for them to save the land for their family. And then second, how to make that land productive.
Yes.
So these are the kinds of things that, we do on a continual basis. We have a couple of situations where we have, folks not making money and they say, well, I need to make more money. And then we talk about, okay, let's see what we need to do to put some more money in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so here what you're doing is you're helping them to increase their cash flow so that they can do more. But, it's these kinds of things that people don't normally think about, you just got your head in the, looking straight in the car, and you can't see what's going on around.
Mhm.
So we just sort of help them to see that. Now, one of those things I bring to the table, and I'm proud of it, is that I work with, and the little time I've been in business, I work with a lot of, Black folks, and I work with a lot of my elders, and
Yes.
and I know, and I can bring to the younger generation the thoughts and the philosophy that our elders applied. Sometimes we think, well, Dad, that was a dumb mistake you made, and then you can find, what? Dad knew exactly what he did. You
That's
just
right.
didn't know. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So we just try to help make that, connection in terms of the thought pattern.
Yes.
Of the community. That is very key.
Yeah, and I think that you hit on a couple of different points, Pastor Jackson, when he was talking about this property transfer of wealth. We have a lot of wasted space, non-realized income, talents, gifts, capabilities that we do not monetize or we do not bridge to bring income in, right? You can bake, you can this, you can that. Or on the commerce side, we say, well, I can bake and I'm gonna make me a business out of baking, but I ain't no business person, right? And so how do we begin the process mentally of saying, okay, it all goes with understanding what you can do to bring in income to take care of your expenses and to yield savings that will hedge you against risk or hedge you against issues. How can we begin to break it down that simply?
Yeah, and I was thinking as you was talking with these people in the room, I know that you have some real life examples of exactly what she's talking about.
Yep.
Of course, we're not going to talk about names, but can y'all share a real life example of what she just said, just so we can show people that this is really, really possible.
Yes.
I think COVID helped a lot of people pivot and learn about side hustles.
Mm.
And the side hustles is the key way when you think you don't have enough,
Multiple
but you
streams of
have
income.
time, well, then you have time for a side hustle. You have time either for a second job, you have time if you're young to do tutoring, babysitting, catering, find that other skill, learn another skill, go learn some vocational skill,
Yes.
get certified in something, learn how to code, learn something you can do online, learn how to write little content books. If you're a musician, learn how to record your music and receive royalties for your music. And I think COVID taught us that we have all this time on our hands and we can work remotely. It really minimized some of the excuses that some people were making. Now, I know COVID, some people had to work double shifts based on the industries they were in. But a lot of people, even still today, are remotely working and they're working a side hustle. And they're using that side hustle to supplement the income from their main job. And that side hustle is funding things like Mr. Keenan is talking about retirement. It's funding the education funds. It's saving up for a down payment to purchase a home.
That's right.
And so that's where it's going to take savings to be able to purchase unused homes. You're going to have a down payment, right? We talk about language. There's a language for every industry. There's a language for real estate.
That's
So
right.
you have to educate people, Christique, I'm sure, about things like closing costs, and interest rates and down payments. It's just a language. So there's a real estate literacy, right? There's an insurance literacy. I'm sure, Mr. Keenan, you have to talk about life expectancy and things. There's just certain terms that go with certain things. And so you'll need to learn the language of the thing that you want to invest in and save up for, and find that side hustle to help you to make that extra 200, 300, 400 a month, so that you can meet the goals that you set for your investing plan for
Yes,
long-term
Reverend
savings.
Jackson asked me to give him a couple of examples. I have clients who finance their own cars.
Mm.
And we set them up such that we develop a plan for them to begin to save and invest. And then when they get ready to buy a car, they call me and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a car." I say, "Have you ever thought about finance it yourself?"
Wow.
Right.
No, I don't know how to do that. I mean, I have one client who has never had a full-time job, and after being with me about 15 years, she wanted to buy a car, and she went out to the credit union, and I had been working with her, putting her dollars together, and we looked at her situation, and I said, "Hey, why don't we borrow from ourselves?" And what she did is she took that money and she bought the car, and we set up a plan to pay herself back as she would have paid the bank back. And then here you're beginning to not only reduce your debt, but interest that you got paying out, you
Wow.
got it coming back into you. And so we've done,
That's it.
And you've reduced taxes.
and we reduce
If
taxes.
you don't get nothing else out of this show today, that's absolutely powerful.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't know either is that you can do similar things even with life insurance. With cash.
That's what we do it with most.
Mhm.
There's
Yes.
life insurance and there's life insurance.
There you go. There you go.
And most of us have very life insurance.
And you can call Jackson
what
Capital.
you just
Hold on. Let me put a shameless plug in. You can call Jackson Capital at 850-766-0101. I'll hook you up with one of the policies he talking about.
We all get to do them ourselves. We all get to do a plan.
Yeah.
My cell number is.
Put all y'all cell numbers. We're gonna put them on the big. I see y'all over there.
But it's serious.
It's
This is
serious.
serious. And what we're talking about is these are things that people don't know.
That's right.
I'm always amazed when I talk to people. They say stuff like this to me. Well, I just need enough to bury.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't even understand the power in a life.
Yes.
Because we want life insurance to bury people. But man, I teach people that life insurance policies are living policies as well if you got the right kind.
Come on now. Come on now.
Now, one of the things that we do is we spend a lot of money on books because enabling is a major part of my business. And probably one of the jokes in town probably is, if you go talk to Bob Keenan, he's probably going to give you a book.
Didn't I say that before he got here?
Because I accumulate knowledge and I share it, because to me, that's how they learn new
That's
things
right.
and how to do things new ways. So,
That's right.
I mean, I feel part of my, I'm an old man, so I remember when Martin Luther King was living and, when, Malcolm X was living. And so I've come through all that, and I feel that I have a strong obligation, to help, to give back to the community what the community has, given to me. And this is part of my way of doing it.
Sir, you are a trusted advisor on the community level, and I think that that's what's missing to a great extent: accessibility to our trusted advisors. So we have to go to the storefronts. We have to go to the places that don't know us, and we have to sell ourselves over and over again in terms of our potential and capabilities. Kelly, you deal a lot on the community investment side, and you understand that. You understand the fear people have going to institutions, making themselves acceptable to get the resources that they need. Talk a little bit about your experience there.
Well, and let me kind of back up in case anyone listening doesn't know the difference between a bank and a credit union.
Okay.
This is where I
That's
do get
good.
to flex our credit union muscles. And not to talk bad about banks. I think that banks are wonderful. I myself am a banking client, but credit unions are owned by the members who choose to put their money there with us. And so what that means is, for me as an employee, that means I work for you. I don't work for the shareholder that we're trying to make a millionaire, or the CEO, which sure, he's my boss, but we all know, right? He writes paychecks, but at the end of the day, he works for our members as well. And so I think where you choose to, just like your trust level you have in the advisors around you, I think where you choose to bank really does matter.
Yes.
And so as a credit union, it's really important to us that the decisions that we make, the products that we offer, the advice that we give is truly in the best interest of our member. I'm never going to be pushing a credit card or because I need to hit X number of sales, right? I'm sure we have production goals because that helps us be viable as an organization. We can do more for our members when we have more capital to be able to do it. But we want to make sound decisions that are really best for our member. And so I do think it matters where you bank, that you're not just a face or a client number or a customer number on a ticket, that you have a relationship and that you can trust, in that. And if you don't, that's your first step, I think, is find those advisors, find out where they think you should be banking, where you should get that advice from, and while you were talking, Mr. Bob, about, first steps or borrowing against yourself. A lot of people don't know that you can borrow against your own money in a share pledge loan. I don't know why this kind of stuff is such a big secret. It actually makes me angry sometimes to think about when I do a financial workshop and I talk to people, I'm like, wait a second, are you kidding me?
Most
I can
people don't know
borrow
this.
and so you can, because so many times I've helped people who go, well, I want to get a car, but I know I'm not going to qualify for a car. What do I do? Right. And in their mind, they're thinking, I just gotta save up and pay cash. That's my only option, or get approved at 12% interest or whatever, an outrageous amount, an unfair amount. And so we talk about that. We look at next steps. We go, well, just think about, you can borrow against, let's say you need to buy a couch for your house instead of, but you have $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, whatever that is. If you don't have the cash flow, that's a whole nother discussion. But to become more build your credit and be able to accomplish these things, put the money in the bank or in your credit union. We lock it up where you can't touch it. You borrow against it. It's only a 5% interest. So what we do is we report it back to the trade lines as positive credit, as long as you make your payment, which 35% of your credit score is made up of just your payment history. So paying on time. Okay. So right there, you can start building credit. Borrow against yourself, and the lowest share pledge loan you can get is $500 for 6 months. It's like a $35 payment a month.
Oh, wow.
So again, best kept secret. Why aren't people doing it? And you could do that with a car or something like that. So, I do think trust. I think trust is a big one. I don't know if I'm answering your question, what you're getting at, but I do think that the trust factor. And that you can build a relationship. And the other thing too about the financial industry is when people are declined or they're turned down or they're turned away and they tell me that they got declined and I say, why? And they say, I don't know. Oh my gosh. That bothers me so much. It should have been communicated to you. How do we help you get there? They didn't ask you that. Like, what's your goal? What do you need? How can I help you get there? Instead, it's like, nope. She's not going to close this week because, she doesn't have buying power. Writing her off. I'm going to move on to the next client who does. Right? No, I'm going to sit there and go, all right, here's where we need to get you.
A lot of borrowers don't know they have the right to ask. If you receive a denial letter that just says you're denied, you're allowed to ask for the reasons.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
allowed
and
to
by
ask
law,
for
we
your
have to
credit
tell
report.
you why.
That's right.
But sometimes it doesn't make sense on paper.
Right.
You're absolutely
if
right.
they said you didn't meet the debt to equity requirement
Ratio.
or your score wasn't, again, literacy
Ask them.
terms, I just understand what those terms mean, but you're allowed to say why, and you can say, well, I would like to request you to recalculate it. Did you consider this income? Did you consider that?
Right.
Show me how you
are
came
allowed-
up with that.
Exactly. You are allowed to appeal those decisions. And it comes down to literacy. We're talking about interest rates. That's just the cost of borrowing money.
Right.
So the cost of you borrow.
That's right.
Does it cost me 5%? Does it cost me 12%? Does it cost me 18%? So you want the lowest cost of
Right.
borrowing, right? Because you're paying that on top of whatever you're purchasing. Debt to income, that's something that'll just be the ratio of the amount of debt you have compared to the amount of income you have that's going to help pay that debt, right? So you get used to certain terms, so you'll know how to measure your own self when you walk in and when you ask for a loan. You'll have the confidence to know if you meet the criteria. And if you don't, make them explain it to you and make them show you steps that you can take to be prepared for the next time.
Absolutely.
So, Pastor Jackson, and Mr. Bob started this. You mean to tell me I can open up an account at the bank, or I can go to Mr. Bob and he can show me how to save my money and borrow from myself and charge interest to myself that's paying me back?
It's even better than that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's better than that.
Right. Much better.
You get a policy, right? And the policy gains cash value. and you're only paying, just say if you're a 28-year-old male and you're getting a $200,000 policy, you're probably paying $70 at best, and that policy gains cash value. Well, you borrow from that.
Oh, you borrowed against that.
You borrow against
the
that.
instant thing,
Yes.
the money you put in there continue to earn.
Yeah,
While you borrow.
That's correct. It continues to earn as you borrow.
So
Hold
let me,
on, one more thing. And
I'm putting my Baptist finger up.
and if you got the right type of life insurance policy, you can actually leverage that policy with the bank for a mortgage or anything else.
Use it for collateral.
Yes.
So I got my Baptist finger up, Facebook. First of all, this ain't long enough. All right. So we pledged to come back. This is not a long enough show for us to deal with the stuff that's being dropped here today. All right. And I'm here and I can't talk. All right. And I should know these things. I didn't know that. I did not know about the banks allowing you to establish an account that you can borrow for, and the bank will pay you 5% on your money to borrow.
Exactly.
That's a mess.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all better be listening today. All right, y'all. We gonna take a short break because I gotta digest this. All right, we gonna take like a minute and a half break so I can digest. All right, you are listening to Conscious Check with Christy Henry on the Greg James Community Platform. We'll be right back.
You know some of the craziest things I've heard? I've heard somebody tell me something like, that's too good to be true. That has to be, some type of scam. I'm like,
I think it's because it doesn't make sense to people. They can't wrap their head around that, right?
Yeah.
And that's where that education piece comes
Yeah,
in.
but
You
it's
know,
so
you draw
sad.
it out for them.
Very
It's so sad that people just
That's why
don't
we
get it.
do seminars.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hey y'all here, all listen here. Everybody saying, hey, Pastor Jackson. Hey y'all.
Hey.
Somebody said Pastor Jackson explained the benefits of index. Now you get way too
I
highfalutin.
know.
Pamela, you get too highfalutin. But she said explain the benefits from index term versus life. We got somebody here that's saying that's amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah.
That's so true. Okay, we got comments here. Hey, y'all, listen, we know this isn't long enough. I'm getting back on the radio now and doing what I got to do, but this is amazing. Thank y'all for hanging in there, post and share. We got 15 minutes left.
I would love to do a seminar.
Man, listen.
Just
Don't play.
with this group right here.
Don't play. This ain't long enough.
This ain't long
I
enough.
think Andre would love this.
What?
Right.
Just say long.
Community management.
And you can do it. You can do it forever because
Yeah.
it's just timeless principles.
Yes.
Sure.
But this type of stuff that people don't know, the type of stuff that people don't know that's so easily known if you just take the time to learn it.
And has been around so long.
Yes.
People who know have been benefiting for a long time.
We
I
did
got
a-
IULs on all my children, and they don't even know it. Well, they do know it, but I pay for it.
Sure.
And by the time they get 55, 60 years old, they can easily have $250,000 or $500,000
Yeah.
based on what I put in.
I have people who have IUL.
Mhm.
When they retire, most of their money will be coming from IUL.
Mhm,
And what that means is that money is tax free.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Have mercy.
And as a result of that, their social security benefits are also tax free.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, so
so they end up with
You fund your
significant-
retirement through
Yeah.
that.
Through your IUL.
Life insurance.
Yes.
y'all,
But
This
you
ain't
know
long
what?
enough.
But you know what we need to have a discussion, I think, is the state pension plan. Because there's been a lot of changes over the years, and I really don't think people that work for state, city, and county realize how much changes have been made to the pension plan, and they expect the same kind of pension plan that their mother had. They think that theirs going to be like that, but it's not, and it's changed a lot. And it's important for them to understand that, because what it means is that the next generation, because many of us who work for government agencies, is going to be worse off than our generation unless they recognize that particular plan and how it's structured, such that they can make plans of their own and use that to supplement as and instead on depending on it, And because this community, most of the people.
All right. We are back. We are back. Listen, we got the show during the break of the show that's been happening. If you're tuning in, you are tuned in to Conscious Check, the Check with Christy Henry on the Greg James Community Show. I am here with my very capable co-pilot, Pastor Clarence Jackson, who is breaking it down. Jackson Capital, y'all. Shout out to Jackson Capital. We had some awesome input from our Facebook audience here. Y'all, you're going to want to go back and listen to this show again. There's been a lot of stuff dropped. We have probably about 15 minutes left here today, y'all. And we're going to do a situational round robin. All right? Y'all ready? And we're going to talk about financial vulnerability because that's really what we're dealing with, right? A situation, Pastor, where people don't know.
Right.
They don't know, and they may be ashamed. They may be delusional, but mostly they might be ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to just kind of throw out a circumstance. You give us a cure for the situation, and then we'll move on to the next situation. We got 6 of them here, all right? We ready? All right, y'all look excited. Look at it with a pencil. Here we go. I wish I had some theme music. Okay, first situation. My credit is toe up. How do I approach credit repair without getting scammed?
Wow, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
This one's, you know,
it could go 2 different ways.
yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
So there's some people that want it. There's 2 ways. You can do credit repair through a program where you work with the company to consolidate all of your debts, and they basically reach out to all of your debt, debt companies and negotiate a payment, and you just can't use your credit for 2-3 years, and they make your payments for you.
Okay.
That hurts your credit for those years that you're going through that program. But when you come out of it, you've paid off everything. Or you can handle it yourself. Just make a budget, look at your payments, look at your spending, have some self-discipline, and start paying more than the minimums. Start with the lowest balance and pay them off. Some people pay the lowest interest balance, or you just pay the lowest dollar balance and do a snowball effect and just pay them off yourself. And as you get raises or other cash flow, other increases in income, you just pay them off that way. But definitely pay on time, because as Kelly said, the paying on time is a huge chunk of your score. And then not having all of your balances maxed out, so you want to pay your balances down, that helps your score. But do not go and close all of your accounts while you're trying to pay off. Do not do that. That hurts you, because length of time that you had an open account helps your score as well. So you want to keep your accounts open. Just don't charge them up. Pay them down, keep them, and keep revolving your credit also. So go to the gas station, make a small purchase once a month, and pay off that card in full as much as you can. Revolve your charges, because you want to show that you're using your credit responsibly and you can handle the amount of credit that you're carrying. It will still take the same year to 2, but you're doing it yourself and you're not hurting your credit
Why you doing?
going through another program, right? So that's kind of.
And I'll tell you,
Good.
if you are home at night because you can't sleep because you're stressed about how to pay the bills and you're watching TV and you see a commercial with an 888 number at the bottom, it's probably not going to help.
There you go.
So again, if you're going to consolidate, do it the wise way, do it the smart way, do some research, go where you trust, right? Because there can be a good plan. It might take a little bit longer. So that brings me to the point that it might also depend upon what your future goals might be.
Yes.
That's true.
Because if you are in a position where you don't have any major life goals coming up in the next midterm goals, which would be probably about 3-ish years, 3 to 5 years, then maybe doing a debt consolidation program, is okay, because you don't plan to borrow money
You
again.
have time to wait out the
Exactly.
impact.
But there's no one size fits all either, because somebody else listens to this and they go, absolutely not, no way. My mama told me we'd never do that. And that's fine. I think you just have to, whatever decision you make, you go with it, you read all the fine print. And at the end of the day, you have clear expectations of what should happen. And you shouldn't get scammed if you're going that route.
That's good. That's good. Any input, Mr. Bob?
You know what? To be honest, I was drawing a blank because I'm like, one of the things you need to do is try to live within your budget.
Absolutely. Within your means.
Because with these credit cards, it suggests that you're living beyond your budget.
Hello.
So, my recommendation would be let's get your budget in control. Let's see how you can reduce some things. It's so complicated now in terms of entertainment, for an example. How much do you pay for cable? And there's 50 different varieties.
Hulu and Netflix.
And then you get tricked into one for 6 months and then it goes up. but there's a lot of money that's involved there that you got to figure out where it's going
Mhm.
and try to reduce that's going out in a way that's taken away from your building your wealth. And there's a lot of that around. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people paying way too much taxes in this year.
Hmm.
Okay, way too much taxes in this year,
Mm.
but they don't have anybody to provide guidance in terms of how to reduce their taxes. There are people who will, provide you information in terms of how to pay them. Well, instead of paying at the end of the year and penalty, you need to pay quarterly. Well, all you're doing is paying. You're reducing the penalty, but you're not reducing your tax liability. There's a lot of different loopholes in the tax system that one could capitalize on, and in order to reduce their taxes. And to me, that's another way to keep money from going out the back door.
And
But-
especially now, I'm sorry, with
Yeah,
high yielding interest rates,
Mhm.
savings
Which
accounts,
is
you make
non-deductible.
more, right, but you make more just taking the tax money, saving it and paying your taxes when they're due than what, because the IRS is not paying you for holding your money all year while you wait for that refund, right?
Mhm.
So if you know you're gonna owe a certain amount, you save it, make some interest on it, you'll pay tax on the interest the next year, but you don't have to rush and pay it. It's much more money you would earn than what that penalty might be. So, you're talking maybe $50 penalty versus you could have made maybe $200 in interest. So you have to look at that cost too, because the IRS is not paying you for the interest they're earning by holding your money, right? So you can earn interest and then pay when it's due. So it's just a matter of managing your own cash flow and taking control of your own situation.
That's good. That's really, really good. And I want to jump backwards to something he said about budgeting.
Yes.
Because people, think making more money is the answer.
Yep.
But making more money won't make you unbroke.
Come on now.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not, no, because if you're broken and you're buying a slit malt liquor beer, when you get money, you're just gonna buy more expensive beer,
Exactly.
Mhm.
right? So making more money don't change things for most people.
Exactly.
It's a mindset
Yeah.
that says I gotta live within my means,
Yes.
whether I'm making $30,000 a year or whether I'm making $80,000 a year.
Right.
And I say that because me and Dee, we balled on a budget and we didn't have much. And people think I make a lot of money. They think I've always made a lot of money, but I didn't make a 6-figure salary until about 4 years ago.
Mm.
I've always lived on a budget
Yes.
and also invested in land.
Mm.
That's key. It's not what you make, but what you keep, what you
Yep.
save, what you have left over. The
Yep.
bottom line is the bottom line. No matter what your income is, it's what after
Right.
all of your expenses come through, is
What do
what's
you-
left. You want to increase that what's left number.
That's
Right.
right.
And so you can reduce the expenses, you can look for, avoid those excess monthly subscriptions, look at, extra spending that you're doing to increase what's left on the bottom line.
Yes.
So don't
Mm.
focus on the top line, focus on the bottom line. Of
Yes.
course, earn what you can earn, but reduce your spending to increase the bottom line.
Mm. That's
That's your real
That's
income.
your
The
real
bottom line
income.
is the bottom
Yeah.
line. That's what you're taxed on, that's what counts,
Right.
what's
Right.
left over.
She said it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
That's right.
Y'all better hashtag that or put a sentence or something. That was
Put it on a
good.
t-shirt.
That's what you
Yeah,
say.
another area we spend a lot of time on is getting people to understand how different types of investment works.
Mm.
Because most of us are doing CDs and savings, and that's good. But there's also opportunities out there, the stocks and bonds, for example. But nobody is explaining to folks in the community how these particular instruments work. And as a result of that, people refrain from participating in them because the volatility and the way that whole sector works, we don't understand it. So
That's right.
therefore, we run into our situation where we just refrain from investing, and that's a good way to stay poor. Okay, if you want to know how long it take $1 to double, whatever that interest rate is, divide it into 72. So
Mm.
that says that if you're making 1%, it's going to take you 72 years to double, right?
Wow.
Mm.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you need to
Wow.
diversify, and we spend a lot of time diversifying. We spend a lot of time explaining to clients how diversification works. We also spend a lot of time helping clients to develop what I call umbrella type of investments. So in other words, structured. You don't know when you're going to need money, and so what you do, you structure your investment such that if you need money right away, you can get it. and not penalize yourself. And money you can let grow long term, you can let it grow long term. But it's a matter of understanding how to make those things work. If you do that, then you can increase the wealth of your, of your family significantly. But that's not understood and that's not taught. Okay.
And we don't talk about the fact that short-term savings is not the same thing as long-term investing. So you can save for the short term, and that's for something you need to have access to within a year or two.
Mhm.
But then things that you're saving that are more long-term, you invest for long-term. That's when you're getting into the market. You're putting your money out there to participate in mutual funds. You're looking long-term.
IULs.
Retirement,
Mhm.
IULs, education. You're looking long-term. And so there's a difference. You might say, well, I am saving. Saving is not the same thing as investing.
Yes.
So now
Yes.
what we are doing is we are increasing the wealth of the family by
Absolutely.
helping them to have diversified types of investment. The problem that I find in our community is that we don't understand it. And if there's something that you don't understand, if it bites you, you certainly go back away. But if you understand how it works, then you can take advantage and use those vehicles to your advantage. Again, to increase your wealth, to increase your family wealth, increase the community wealth. Because one of the things I spend time with my clients and talking about, okay, we're gonna have to make more money, but I want you to put more money in church.
Man, I'm bringing him
But
with
you,
Okay.
me. We going on the road. Listen, I want to say this because we actually running out of time.
Oh,
And-
we got 5 more
We
minutes.
got 5 more minutes,
Uh-huh.
but I want to put this on the table. Like I would invest. I would put my money behind it. I would put my time behind it, my expertise behind doing like a 2-day free conference, a
Let's do
financial
it.
literacy
Let's
conference.
do it. Let's
A lot of
do
times
it.
we do an hour seminar or a radio show, right? But that's not enough
It's
time.
not
This
enough.
is not enough time. I would be willing to work with anybody to do like a 2-day conference,
Mhm.
and we could do it in second. We could do it where we have it in a big enough place, where we could do beginner sessions,
Yep.
intermediate sessions, and advanced sessions.
That's right.
Man, I've been
so it's
inspired
a
by this
conference on
conversation.
financial literacy. I think that's great.
It's done.
Walk
It's
through
done.
every step from being a borrower all the
Yes,
way to what
yes.
it takes to be a lender.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
And the thing I love about it, and by the way, I'm with you. I got you. And let's do it.
We're gonna do
All right,
it.
let's do it.
Let's
Because this wasn't gonna be long enough. I already know that. I already know this coming in because y'all are experts and the information y'all have, people don't have. So you're filling a void. And I am I'm sitting over here, my foot won't stop moving. Kelly, banks recognize, as Mr. Keenan was saying earlier, that the future of communities and the necessity of building wealth is an agent of economic security. It's a national security issue, quite frankly. Talk a little bit about how you all in the Department of Treasury, and they're giving you a designation as a CDFI. What does that mean, a bank that has that distinction?
Yeah, so as a credit union, we're actually insured and governed by NCUA, which is basically the bank's version for credit unions. And CDFI stands for Community Development Financial Institution. And as a designated CDFI credit union or institution for us, what that means is we have access to funds that we can bring back into our local community to pour back into the needs of the people who live and work where we have branches to serve people.
Yes.
We've been very honored to have received 2 CDFI grants in the last 24 months, and I'm really excited about one we're working on right now. Hopefully I don't break the floodgates here by saying it too soon because we're still in the development phase, but I'm really excited about one that is specifically for minority business owners. And this came out of, we were taking a look at what the data showed us from the impact from COVID. And one thing that we were really, that struck us was that there were a lot of local Black businesses and other minority businesses
Yes.
that didn't qualify for PPP,
Right?
and their businesses suffered greatly. And so we're really excited that we have a grant that we are going to be able to offer a level up to existing businesses that are owned and operated by minority owners who didn't get the support that they deserved through COVID. It's not a handout, it's a hand up.
Mhm.
And we're so excited. So CDFI gives us the opportunity to do things like that.
That's right. That's right. And to address financial and capital needs from a purely localized and informed basis,
Absolutely.
which is really, really important. We have several entities that have that designation here locally, but they are a necessary partner for our conference we about to put
Oh,
on
yeah.
Pastor Clint. So
We
listen,
about to do
we got 2 minutes, all right? And I gotta close.
it.
I want you all to give our audience their next step today.
Commit to learning the language. If there's a word that you don't understand, Google it. Expand your vocabulary. If you find something that you don't understand, don't let that be something that makes you avoid the situation, like Mr. Keenan said, but let that be something that makes you lean in and learn more and find someone to help you understand.
That's good. That's good.
I guess my recommendation would be to develop a plan. So you know where you're going. Isn't that what credentials say?
That's right. That's
And then put the plan together. But first, have some direction in terms of where we're going, and then we figure out the steps that we need to do to get there.
That's good.
That's my
That's good.
recommendation.
My advice is going to be piggyback off both of those. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your spouse. And because I think once you're honest with yourself and it's easy for you to reflect on where you've been, so you can be honest about the decisions I need to make that are going to impact and change my future. And I'll be a bit more realistic when I do that and setting myself up for real success when I am.
Pastor Jackson, you are a pastor.
Mhm.
You also are someone that are in these market streets,
Mhm.
dealing with financial capability of people in the community. In terms of financial healing
Mhm.
that people need to have based upon the input, where do we go from here?
Call Jackson Capital, 850-766. No, I'm
No,
joking.
no, but
I'm
okay,
joking.
all right.
I'm joking. Here's where you start. Everybody that talked today gave us great advice. And what she said is, I think, is the most important thing. You got to be honest.
Mm.
Stop sweeping things under the rug. Stop sweeping things under the rug. I mean, that bill that you put on the shelf is still there.
Those
It is
shoes
a
you
bill.
bought and hid in the back closet
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's still there. It begins with honesty, and we got to take away the shame. We got to take away shame. We're about to do. We got a senator from Africa coming at the end of April, and it's this whole thing in Africa now called period shaming. Well, what we got to stop doing in America is we got to stop financially shaming.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
We got to stop
That's good.
financially shaming because I've been broke too before.
in financial shame.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. We got to stop that. And if they don't do it for you, do it for yourself.
Do it for
Do it
yourself.
for yourself. Be honest with yourself and realize. And more of us got to be transparent about where we've been.
Mhm.
When I was 20 years old, I had a car repossessed. So I'm able to tell a young person who's had a car repossessed, that ain't the end of the world.
Amen.
You can bounce back. You
Amen.
can start over. You can start
Sure
over again.
You
Amen.
get to go for that second down.
There you go. There you go.
Or start over when they zonk out, you get another chance to start the whole process
Yes.
over again. Listen, you are tuned in. I know y'all thought y'all was in church and we was about to pass a plate, but you are tuned in to the Greg James Community Show, Conscious Check with Christy Henry. And our co-host for today has been Pastor Clarence Jackson
I'm
of
still enjoying
Destiny Church TLH. Listen, I'm overwhelmed because I find this topic to be particularly for me.
Yep.
My last in 2007, I got 2 calls when people were losing their homes, and both of them were after someone had committed suicide.
Wow.
So financial awareness, financial stability, financial understanding is personal.
Yes.
And we need to understand that. And so shame is real, and it
Yep.
causes people to make decisions based upon short-term situations. So we want to commit to you, our audience, that we're going to continue the conversation.
Yep.
Not only that, we're going to also have a week long of financial literacy conversations that will happen on the last week of this month. Every day at high noon, we will be doing Facebook Live financial literacy conversations every day to finish out
I love that.
April. It is that important. I'm looking forward to getting you more information on that. We thank y'all so much for tuning in to heaven today. Hallelujah today. Lord have mercy. I'm on the wrong. Y'all pray for y'all. It ain't praying. Tuning in to Hallelujah 95.3 FM and the Greg James Community Show platform. Tune in next week to the Greg James Community Show at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all later.
All right, high tech, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Andre, my community development manager,
Yes.
did a workshop at Rickards a couple months ago, and it was called Know Your Heritage, Know Your Money. And we
Oh,
did
wow.
it during Black History Month.
Wow.
We had 100 people show up for it, and it was incredible. He had all this data
Mm-hmm.
that showed statistically a lot of really just good information. And I think if you do a workshop, there's some information in there that he did some research on that I know he would probably love to share.
Perfect.
That's
That would be
something you
great.
want to do because I mean it was phenomenal. And he's a pastor,
Is that right?
Andre Harris.
Okay.
I don't know the church that he's at, but
Okay.
anyways.
So we're
Yeah.
still talking, as y'all can see.
Herschel's not
Thank
with
y'all
us.
so
He
much for
left us.
y'all
He
hanging
runs
on
his
in
own
there.
show now.
Listen, we are
Yeah.
going to be logging off. Thank y'all so much. Yes, Miss Proctor
Join us
Johnson. We
together
do
in
forget
French
about
Fest.
educating our youth, so we do need to pay attention and be more intentional. He said, Muriel Van said, let's do the conference maybe after work on the weekend.
Okay, let's
Okay,
do it. Let's
so
do
we
it.
got to figure that out. Yes. Okay, got a lot of comments. All right, so we're gonna be going through these comments and we're gonna be answering them. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Listen, sharing is caring. All right, share these conversations, share the information, and Pastor Jackson and myself and anybody else that's interested, this conference is about
Yeah,
to
we're gonna
happen. All right, so we're looking forward to getting all the folks that want to participate. This is a national conversation, a national security conversation. And we need to be all in. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time.
Mr. Bob, let me get that number.